Good morning, everyone. Today we will be discussing pupil-led book talks. We will be tackling its benefits and criteria. So, pupil-led book talks can be a fantastic way to encourage students to engage with literature. Encouraging students to actively participate in their own learning process is very important since it is one of an effective method to foster active participation through pupil-led book talks. This approach not only stimulates a love for reading, but also develops critical thinking, presentation skills, and fosters a sense of community within the classroom. In this report, we will be exploring its benefits and criteria for successful implementation. So let's hear from Ms. Ellen, for she will be discussing its benefits.
So now, we will be discussing the benefits of conducting book talks in the elementary classes. So the first benefit is it can develop a community of readers and establish relationships. It is because when we engage students to book talks, they are able to share to the class their understanding. With this, they can share their excitement and interest to the class through explaining the author, characters, and plot of the story. With this, communication among relationships in the class will be developed. So next is introduce students to a vast array of texts. They will be exposed to different kind of literatures which are beneficial for them to develop the habit of reading and enhance their way of comprehending ideas. So next is, it is advantageous for struggling readers and can improve their confidence level. It is because when we expose struggling students to reading, it makes them master their reading comprehension. Through this, upon the use of literature, they can practice pronunciation and way of understanding. Just like me when I was in elementary grades, I found it a little hard to read. Thankfully, I was able to develop my love for reading. I read a lot of books from the library and it really helped me to enhance my vocabulary and reading comprehension. And then also, with these abilities, I became confident on choosing books I'd like to read. So this is another benefit of conducting book talks. Another thing is that it improves the comprehensions in the part of the sharer reader. This also is a one way of improving one's ability to share ideas based on one's understanding. With the use of book talks, children will give opportunities to learners for them to share their own understanding from a book that they have read. This is a good practice for them to freely express their perceptions, ideas, including their interests to the class. So next are the targets of some core reading and speaking, which includes the following. First, asking and answering questions about key details in a text. A student can ask her classmates and at the same time answer questions from them, especially that there will be always a curiosity from every child that always leads them to questioning. So it is a good thing that through book talks, a child can answer questions based on her comprehension. So next is retelling stories and noting details. So it is one way to share the context of the story and note details to encourage other learners to read. So next is describing characters, setting, and major events. So one way to encourage other learners to read is to expose to them the characters of the story, their characteristics, and the major events or what's going on in the story. So last but not the least is participating in collaborative conversations. So collaborative conversations takes place when there is an exchange of ideas between the sharer and the class. So there will be questions that will be answered with the learner who do the book talks, which will lead to a meaningful conversation.
Now that you know some paramount benefits of conducting book talks, it is also necessary for you to take note of the primary criteria for conducting book talks. The following research-based criteria were suggested by literacy researchers Bachelor and Casede of 2019. So, the first one, which is under the criteria, is the energy. So in energy, the focus of this is express sincerity and spirit. And the description for this is the speaker should express sincere, jubilant energy. When we say jubilant, it is a feeling or expressing great joy or no monotone. So the second one under the criteria is the summary. Its focus is avoid giving away too much. So in the description, retelling is succinct without revealing too much, yet summarizes the theme, plot, and the characters. When we say succinct, it is a briefly and clearly expressed. So the summary should be clearly and briefly expressed. So without giving away too much information, but it summarizes the theme, plot, and the character. So the third one is the passage. Under the passage, which is this passage is under the criteria. Its focus is provide a meditate of the text. So the description for the passage is the selected passage has an impact and will draw students in without revealing spoilers. So the fourth one is the connection, which is it is under the criteria, and its focus is make it matter. And the description is speaker notes the storybook relevance to self, other, and or the society.
Steps on how to conduct pupil-led book talks. Properly implementing pupil-led book talks is also a challenge for us beginning teachers. These steps are specifically contextualized in the primary and early intermediate elementary grades. It should be underscored, however, that implementing pupil-led book talks plays over the course of several weeks with a slow gradual release of responsibility to the learners. The first step is model how book talks are conducted. For beginning teachers like us, it is advantageous to look for sample videos on how to conduct book talks. Before immersing the pupils to do book talks, we can download video clips of actual book talks in the elementary classes and let the pupils watch. Let the pupils discuss among themselves the salient points on what they noticed about the video clips. After a week, remodel the clips in a class by conducting a mini book talk. Encourage the pupils that they will later be the ones to share their most loved storybooks in front. The next step is to scaffold the pupils' early attempts to conduct book talks. Prepare the pupils toward their big day. We may first conduct a read-aloud session using a concise storybook. We may review the effective ways to attend read-aloud meetings in Lesson 5. Stories like Lily's Purple Plastic Purse or The Woman Who Swallowed a Fly may be used, depending upon the choice of the teacher. Explain how to prepare for a book talk by giving them ways to elicit the salient details they need. Providing an anchor chart, doing a pair work, or providing them a copy of the book may all be good ways to scaffold them in this part. And here is an example of a book talk's anchor chart. The third step is practice makes perfect. This stage prepares them for the actual presentation of their book talks. Provide the pupils with a way of popular short storybooks to choose from. Grouping them in this activity may also be an effective aid for starters. Let them read and monitor their work. If necessary, provide them still with scaffolds. As an exercise, each day, A certain pupil will just share a portion of the storybook that has been chosen by the group. In this manner, pupils can have a taste of how to stand before the class, and after such time, the pupils will be totally ready to prepare for their actual book talks.
The next is engage in a real book talk. First is you must select the fixed schedule of a book talks. Discuss with them the schedule and the mechanics of conducting the book talks. Also, you may invite parents to boost the morale of the pupils doing the book talk. The last one is gather feedback from the book talks. Inviting your head teacher or area coordinator or a few faculty members may be a good way to gather feedback for improvement. Take a voice of book talks and let it be critiqued by other teachers. Also, feedback may also come from the pupils themselves. In summary, pupil-led book talks are an effective way to promote reading engagement and foster discussion among students. Students choose a book they've read and present key points and their personal reflection to their peers. This presentation not only enhances public speaking skills but also encourages critical thinking. Also, they empower students to take ownership of their learning and share their knowledge for reading with others. However, pupil-led book talks can be a valuable component of any literacy program, promoting a culture of reading and intellectual exchange in the classroom.